We're back.
Great, thanks everybody. Welcome back to Business Monday. We are here with the money man, Gary Sasse. Want to thank House Minority Leader Patricia Morgan, who officially entered the race for governor as a Republican. She will liven things up, creates a what looks to be a crowded primary. Comments on, it looks like it's Trillo, tomorrow's Fung, and today's Morgan. A lot of candidates.
Yeah, and I think anyone would be better than the person in the office right now. So let's see what happens.
And it will be wild and woolly between the three of them.
Yes, well, it'll be a primary. I hope they discuss the issues. I hope
Yeah.
people get a chance to see that the Republican candidates for governor have solutions that are people-oriented. So I think primaries can be good things if they get attention to the things and the issues that people of the state are concerned about.
Let's jump over. John Della Volpe up at Social Sphere, head of polling at Harvard's Kennedy School Institute of Politics, completed a poll for us. We reported it John was here last Thursday, and then we finished it up on Friday. I think the takeaway from most everyone looking at the data, and by the way, John Della Volpe is primarily a Democratic pollster, so there's no bias in this sphere. Wrong direction, and a lot of concerns about individuals' personal finances.
Yeah, exactly. And the results of the poll didn't surprise me. At Hassonville, we've been polling, not that extensively, we've been polling issues, but we've been polling the right direction, wrong direction. And that number doesn't seem to change very much. It started out around 32% 3 years ago, and it's fluctuated between 32 and 40%, now at 39%. I think the state's going in the right direction. 3 years after this governor's been in office, almost half the state, 45%, think the state is going in the wrong direction. And I think that's an important number. It's important to understand why people think the state is going in the wrong direction.
So that Ronald Reagan question, are you better off now than you were 4 years earlier? You've certainly got that question now posed. It looked like from that polling data that the majority of people felt that they were in the same financial situation or they were worse off.
And it's split. It was an interesting number. When you guys asked the question, is your family better off? 54%, I think, said we're the same. We've made no progress. 25% said they were better off. But another number, almost 20%, said they were worse off.
Yeah.
So if you look at the worse and the same, there's a lot of anxiety in the state. Families are very anxious about their economic security. They're very anxious about the kind of economic opportunities their children will get.
So let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Governor Raimondo has brought in major corporations into the state of Rhode Island. A-list teams. She gave them some incentives. Some might call it corporate welfare. Others might say, hey, cost of doing business. Employment's at a record level. Not related to her, but the stock market is cooking along as well as could be. Are we just too darn gloomy here? I mean, should we be a little more positive about making some progress? These things don't turn around in 18 months or 24 months.
Yeah, the gloom question really is answered when the family sits down around the supper table and how they feel about themselves and how they feel about their economic security and how their kids are doing. And so I can't answer that question. We do know this, that the kinds of programs that the governor has brought in have not been at scale. It was great to get Johnson & Johnson. It was great to get General Electric. That's 200 jobs for those companies. It was great to get Wexford, but most of the square footage will be for a hotel.
Right.
And some of the anchor tenants are already here. They're not new jobs. And so it's great to see cranes in the sky, but to build apartment houses and hotels. And the message that comes across to me, at least, the governor's economic program is not connecting with the guy in the street. And there's been a tremendous amount of public relations, a tremendous amount of spin. The governor came in and said economic development, jobs, and your security are job number one, and yet it's not connecting with the majority of the people. So if that's the case, you've got to sit back and ask the question, what else should we be doing that connects with the people, that creates a situation where they feel better about their future financial well-being?
she a good communicator? Is that part of the problem?
I can't judge that. She certainly has spent a lot on the communication staff. She does an excellent job in communicating with the national media. She has a very strong network. I think sometimes when you communicate, you have to be very careful that you don't build false expectations. And because you announce a company is bringing 60 jobs, that's 60 jobs.
Right.
And you announce that you're going to improve computer education and technical education. Well, you have to do it at scale. You have to invest more. And people know this. They know their kids need a better education. They look at the amount we invest in education. They look at the performance, and the performance is very average. It hasn't been going up very much. And those are the bread and butter issues. If my kid can't get the right education and can't get the right skills and matriculate to a quality college, it's not a question of free tuition, it's a question of free tuition to a place that has a really good track record of...
Right, that's going to matter, make an impact on that. We've had some bad news. Obviously, Benny's, 700 jobs, 400 of them in Rhode Island. Alexion, which is a complex issue. They're moving out of Connecticut, their headquarters going to Boston. They eliminated 250 well-paying jobs. And then Memorial Hospital. So between the three of those are in Rhode Island about 1,400 jobs.
Yeah, but see, that's the ebbs and flow of a free market system. Not one of those closures or one of those companies that are leaving and taking jobs away, was the fault of any politician directly. Benny's was a storied company. It ran its course for family reasons, for the changing in retailing. We know we have too many hospital beds in the state. There's a lack of effective public policy in thinking strategically about hospitals, but that was bound to happen. Alexion is a corporate mess right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if anybody deserves a free pass, is on the Alexion demise.
So you don't blame, and that happens everywhere. But what is the policy to move towards the future? And the policy moving towards the future is not tax incentives for real estate deals. Tax incentives for real estate deals is part of the answer. I don't think we can dismiss it completely, but it's having a focus that what we do on economic development is going to make a real difference to the family sitting in Cranston or Warwick or North Providence or wherever. And having a foreign policy that's focused on the elites doesn't connect, and you're not building up the kind of political and community support that you need to move forward.
Let's talk about revenue numbers just came out for September. They were down again. They were under estimates, under the estimated numbers. Mm-hmm. Is that a serious issue? Or I think when we talked about it the first time, that $135 million number, you put it in some perspective of, listen, in the grand scheme of what the total budget is, it's a fraction. Are we just, though, going the wrong way? Every month we're off even lower estimates, every month a little off lower estimates?
Keep in mind we have 3 months of experience now, July, August, and September. April's a big month, when income tax collections come in. I haven't looked at the numbers, but we're not running, double digit behind.
Right.
We're running just 1% or 2%.
Yeah, a little more
behind.
Yeah.
And so, that you need to watch that can be made up. But what it really says is we're not getting a bounce, and we're not getting a bounce in terms of 4.2% unemployment. We're not getting a bounce with what we're told that the state is turning around. There's a new day in Rhode Island. That's not reflected in our revenue numbers yet. And so the concern is, why isn't that reflected in our revenue numbers? Not that we're running 1% or 2% or 3% behind estimate 3 months into the year.
Healthcare. Let's just touch on healthcare for a minute. Memorial Hospital closes. 800 employees, 600 and something full-time equivalents. Care New England looks on the brink of cash flows down to, I think, under 60 days and massive distress. And because the deal with Prime fell apart for Memorial, they continue to have some associated cost to Memorial regardless, if they close it or not. There's gonna be some continued bleeding, and they've got a very significant pension obligation there, about 75 or $80 million. Are we in a little bit of a chaotic situation in managing our healthcare system, and are we seeing enough leadership by elected folks?
Well, in many ways, we kind of mirror what's happening, nationally. What we've done nationally, think about this. We're cutting back on what we reimburse hospitals for,
Right.
but we're telling them they got to do more and a better quality, and that's between a rock and a hard spot. So that's a problem. Obamacare didn't help.
Yep.
We've had 2 years of a great social experiment in healthcare, which clearly has ramifications for hospitals. That's point one. Point two, and this didn't happen last week. For years, people have been saying we have to make better use of our facilities. We have more beds than we need. We're not coordinating.
Well, that's Dr. Michael Fine. He is, he's pounding that drum.
He's not the first.
Yeah.
And so, strategically, we haven't made any decisions. We haven't thought of the health industry strategically, and now we're seeing.
Where should that leadership come from? Is it a responsibility of the healthcare industry and the hospital association? Is it a responsibility of the governor's office, Department of Health, HHS? Is it a collaborative structure? But right now it sounds like, and we talk to just about everybody in the game right now on a daily basis, there's not a lot going on trying to find a solution.
Well, it's a lot of people are responsible. Federal government's responsible, because some of the problems that our hospitals face result from federal healthcare policy. So there's a responsibility there. There's a responsibility at the state level, where state leaders have not, for a number of years, this is not to this administration, have not effectively used a bully pulpit and ran some heads together to force cooperation. And then there's been a problem too of the leadership of these institutions. There have been petty jealousies, there have been parochialism that's crept into the conversation.
We love parochialism and petty jealousies here in Rhode Island. Don't dismiss it.
Well, it sounds like our growth industry, is that right?
Listen, I want to thank you as always. The money man, Gary Sasse, always has the greatest perspective and the depth of perception, both from the State House as well as in Washington. Look forward to it. And see you next week, and appreciate it as always. Stay right here. We'll be right back. We've got one of the top chief security officers talking about cybersecurity, and we'll be back in 1 minute.